What if I told you that after decades of struggling with my weight, the habits that help me lose 50 pounds and that keep me lean are so simple that you never think that they work? After being stuck in yo-yo diets for decades, I learned that sustainable fat loss isn't about doing more extreme things. It's about doing the right things consistently. And today, I'll show you what those things are, which happen to be the exact habits that got me out of yo-yo diets for good, allowing me to eat 2,400 calories a day while weighing 50 pounds less. But here's what most people get completely wrong about fat loss diets. You think carbs are the enemy, or that you need to avoid every last ounce of fat, when in reality, you're just not eating enough protein. But when you take all of the carb and fat obsession out of the picture, and instead you start every meal by asking, where's my protein? That's when you finally have a fat loss plan that works longer than the latest biohacking craze. And trust me, eating more protein is way more enjoyable than jumping into a huge tub of ice. To get this hack to work, prioritizing protein, not freezing your butt off, you should aim for a minimum of 30 grams of protein with each meal. But that really is the minimum and not the cap. And if you think it's too hard to eat meals that have 35 to 40 grams of protein, you need to understand what this actually looks like. For breakfast, it's as simple as a nutrient-dense protein shake. For lunch, that's 2 slices of thin sliced bread plus 4 ounces of turkey. When you add some veggies, half an ounce of cheese, a thin spread of mayo, plus a side of Greek yogurt, now you have a complete meal that's actually closer to 50 grams. For dinner, start with 5 ounces of lean beef or chicken. Then fill your plate with whatever keeps you satisfied on less calories. It's really not that hard when you put a little bit of thought and prep work into it. But even with all of that protein, you will still struggle if you don't follow this next hack. Most people prepare meals like they're feeding a family of 2 when you should be prepping like you've got company coming for dinner. If 1 pound of lean beef or chicken is enough to feed your family, then make 2 pounds so you have leftovers for an easy high protein breakfast or lunch. This lazy meal prep method hardly takes any extra effort when you're already cooking, but it'll save you so much time since reheating leftovers is much faster than cooking from scratch. Personally, I can and usually do enjoy Taco Tuesday every single day of the week. But if you prefer more variety, just season your meat differently every time so you don't get bored. This lazy meal prep hack ensures that I always have high protein meals on hand. That way, I never find myself face first in the fridge wondering what sounds good. But having all of that protein prepped won't help you if you're still sabotaging yourself with this next mistake. If it's been drilled into your head that you have to completely give up sugar in order to lose fat, what if giving up everything you love is the very thing that's keeping you stuck? Because the second you place something off limits, now that's all you can think about. You daydream, you obsess, and before you know it, you're head first in a tub of ice cream eating 1,000+ calories over your deficit. Here's what works for me and what could help you stick to your diet. Save all of your treats for after dinner. During the day, stick to more nutrient-dense versions of your favorites that are packed with protein. But once you hit your protein goal for the day, that's when you can enjoy a treat, as long as it fits into your calorie budget. If it doesn't fit, then you gotta wait until tomorrow night. This strategy lets you eat more of what you enjoy without risking the cravings and binges that come from eating sugar on an empty stomach. I used to think that I had to give up everything I love in order to lose weight. Now, I just time it better while finding ways to fit treats into my calorie budget. But timing your treats perfectly won't matter if you're not following this next habit, which less than 20% of women do consistently. If you're anything like the typical 40-year-old dieter, you're probably hitting cardio like it's 1995 when you should be building muscle like it's 2025. Because it is 2025. In fact, it's almost 2026. So if you haven't established a full body strength training routine, what are you waiting for? Elon's army of robots to come lift your arms for you? Skipping strength training isn't doing your body that loses muscle up to 8% per decade any favors. The good news? You can establish this habit in just 15 to 20 minutes a day. But that's not even 15 to 20 minutes of hard work, since you're actually only lifting heavy for 8 to 10 reps and then resting for 2 minutes. When you do 2 exercises with 3 sets each, that's really only 6 to 8 minutes of actual work. And anyone telling you to do jumping jacks in between to maximize your time is only burning you out so that you'll quit 2 weeks in. Plus, not resting actually interferes with building muscle. So now you're burning yourself out while also wasting your time. I wasted decades prioritizing intense cardio until I learned muscle burns calories 24/7. Once I swapped priorities, I never looked back. I've been thinking about a series where I show you how I get results at home in under 20 minutes a day. If that sounds like something you'd watch, make sure to let me know in the comments. But building muscle is really only half of the equation. If you want to stay consistent with a moderate calorie deficit, this next hack makes it so much easier. When you hear calorie deficit, you probably think that means eating way less. But what if I told you that my version actually means eating way more? That's because I use volume eating, a strategy that lets you eat more low-calorie, high-volume food instead of just eating less. Here's how to make this work. You can do things like swapping chips for a big bowl of popcorn. These have the same calories, but this option has way more volume, plus it has fiber to keep you full. Instead of ice cream, make strawberry cheesecake Greek yogurt. Whip this up in under 2 minutes for half the calories plus 17 grams of protein. Skip ordering out and make chicken wraps at home with low-carb tortillas. Be sure to pile on the chicken and veggies to get double the protein while saving hundreds of calories. If you want some fries on the side, make them in the air fryer to save at least 200 calories while curbing your craving. Following simple swaps like this lets me eat way more food now than when I was 50 pounds heavier. But eating more of the right foods won't help if you're not tracking this next thing. Most weight loss gurus tell you to throw your scale away because it doesn't tell the truth. And I completely agree, since relying on a weekly scale check leads most dieters to completely crash and burn. But I still weigh myself every morning. Not because I care what the number is, but because a daily weigh-in keeps me accountable. Like when I eat out. Because after every meal out, my scale shoots up at least a pound the next day. And if I make a really bad choice, that could mean an extra 2 or 3 pounds overnight. Knowing that I have to step on the scale the next morning stops me from throwing caution to the wind just to spend the entire next week getting back to where I started. Plus, I use that daily weigh-in to track my weekly averages, which is far more powerful than just relying on one random weekly weigh-in for results. When my average trends down, even if it's just by half a pound, I know I'm doing all of the right things. But if it goes up more than 1 week out of the month, then I know I need to refocus. Daily weigh-ins make staying consistent easier because I'm accountable day to day instead of freaking out every time I step on the scale. But tracking your weight won't matter if you're not following through with this next habit, which is the habit that will kickstart a fat loss plan that finally works. If you're like most dieters, you know you need to get more active, track your food, meal prep, and do all of the things that are must for an effective fat loss plan. But seriously, who has the time? So you make big plans to get it done, but your follow-through sucks. There is a strategy that will help you make more progress in the first 20 minutes of your day than you made in your last 20 dieting attempts, which is getting your biggest challenge out of the way first thing when you have the most brain power and energy. Stop to ask, what's the biggest thing keeping you stuck right now? Is it not being consistent with strength training? Or maybe you don't get enough steps. Do you struggle staying prepared with protein and veggies? Or do you find yourself over calories by the end of the day? Figure out the biggest obstacle holding you back and make it the first thing you do every day. If you're struggling to fit your workout in, get it done right after rolling out of bed. If you don't hit your step goal most days, wake up 15 minutes early to get 1,500 steps out of the way before life gets in the way. Starting your day with a momentum building habit is the best thing that you can do to stay on track. But even with great momentum, you will plateau if you're not following this next habit, which is where 90% of your results come from. If you're still rushing weight loss like 95% of dieters do, then you will end up where 95% of dieters find themselves. Losing weight fast, only to regain every pound even faster. If you're still rushing fat loss by eating in the biggest deficit possible, or even if you're not counting calories, but you're still fasting every other day or cutting out entire food groups in order to push calories as low as possible, that is sabotaging all of the hard work that you're putting in. Even if you can stick with extreme restriction for more than a few days, big calorie deficits result in you losing just as much muscle as fat. And maybe that doesn't really sound like a big deal, but since it's the biggest reason most dieters regain every pound, it's a pretty big deal. Instead of rushing the process, eat in a moderate calorie deficit that's 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance, not 800 to 1,000. This will help you lose around 1 pound each week consistently without losing muscle that keeps your metabolism strong. If you want to get to and actually stay at a healthy weight, you have to understand the difference between weight loss and fat loss. Weight loss is mostly rushed, and you will regain every pound plus more since you're losing more than just fat. Fat loss is slower, but with the right approach, you'll actually stay at a healthy weight with way less effort. But eating more won't help if you're still stuck in couch potato mode 23 hours a day. The average woman maybe gets 2,000 or 3,000 steps most days, which comes with a body fat percentage of 40% for women over 40. If you don't want to fall into this average, then you have to stop falling into that average. Now, you're probably thinking, sure, Nissa, that's easy for you. You're a stay-at-home mom who can walk anytime she wants. Well, yes, but also no. Because I've got 2 kids I shuttle around 6 days a week, I run 2 businesses, and I spend at least 25 hours a week making these videos. Yes, these videos take that much time. So if you throw me a like or add a comment every now and then, I'm not mad at it. So just like you, I was struggling to fit it all in, at least until I got a walking pad, which has been an absolute game changer with getting my daily steps. Because instead of deciding between spending time writing another script or walking, I can do both at the same time. And if you're not out on these cold, harsh YouTube streets begging for likes just to survive, then maybe you can pair walking with watching the YouTube videos that improve your health, or even watch your favorite show while getting your activity up. This is how I easily went from 3,000 to 10,000 steps without really putting much thought into it. So if you still think that 10,000 steps is out of reach, maybe you just need to rearrange some of the sitting on your butt activities to getting it done while using a walking pad activities. But that's not me trying to fearmonger you into moving all day, every day, or else. That's just me showing you a habit that's made my life about 1,000,000 times easier. Something else that made things way easier is giving up all of the fearmongers all over social media. If you're still following anyone who says that you need to avoid strawberries at all costs, or that if you eat potatoes that you won't lose fat, do yourself a favor and click unfollow now. Because I too let these social media fearmongers scare me into believing that the real foods I was eating were all wrong. And here's how that ended. The real truth is, real foods like strawberries and potatoes are filled with the nutrients that your body needs in order to feel satisfied on less calories. Plus, you'll be eating way more food on your fat loss diet since you can eat this entire bowl of strawberries for only 50 calories. And if you love potatoes, eat more of them because they're actually ranked as the most filling food per calorie. You have to quit being afraid of real foods. Figure out ways to fit your favorites into your calorie deficit since that actually makes sticking to your diet way easier. I know none of this is as exciting as promising that you'll lose 25 pounds by next month. But if you're tired of starting over every Monday and you want easier results that actually stick, these 10 habits are exactly how you do it. As someone who's struggled with weight loss for more than 30 years, nothing stuck until I finally stuck to the right habits consistently. But even these habits won't work if you don't start with a solid plan. Watch this video next to learn the exact plan that helped me lose 50 pounds after 40. More importantly, this is the same plan that makes it easy to finally keep the weight off for good.